Good morning, second English students. Now we will move on to a new lesson in first unit, prose unit, the third lesson, the Renaissance in India. Renaissance. The Renaissance in India by Sri Aurobindo. Okay, and this essay is divided into 4 parts. Okay, today we will learn the first part, of course the lengthiest part of it, and most of the points are given in the first part of the essay itself. Okay, therefore today's lecture is going to be important, and if you summarize this part alone, that is enough. Yet he explains further more about India in second, third and the fourth part, and it is not unlike A.K. Raman, it is not like repetitive. He explains further in second, third and the fourth part. Okay, so the first part, most important part, and obviously we have 2 classes and it is going to be a lengthy lecture, long lecture today. Okay. Now, Renaissance in India. Okay, and you all know that Christopher Marlowe, Shakespeare, and Webster, Ben Jonson, let's say Sir Isaac Newton, Columbus, Galileo, they are products of Renaissance. Okay, they are products of Renaissance. What do you mean by Renaissance? It is rebirth. Renaissance means rebirth. Okay, and Renaissance in Europe did not happen in a revolutionary way. It happened for 200 or 300 years. Okay, and see, before Jesus Christ, okay, before birth of Jesus Christ, and in Greek civilization and in Latin civilization, they have their own gods, they have their own mythology, and they worshipped them. Okay, and with the advent of Christianity, and none of the people in Europe worship the Greek gods or Latin gods. Okay, and Greeks have their own civilization, and Greek and Latin have their own civilization, and literature and arts and paintings, sculpting form. They have their own pattern, their own intellectuality, scientific discoveries and inventions, and that was their lifestyle. That slowly and steadily they become corrupt, and people become corrupt, and at that point only Jesus Christ born, and he propagated that what you do, what are you doing is wrong, and this is the correct way of life, and by his name itself the new religion, Christianity, arrived. Okay, and initially Jesus Christ was persecuted, and Christianity was not that popular. Okay, and after the death of Jesus Christ, and after about 300 years, slowly and steadily Christianity became popular in Europe. Okay, and the whole continent Europe became a Christian continent. Okay, and then Pope became got the ultimate power. And when initially it was so good in Europe, rich people helped poor people, and everything was good. Okay, but slowly and steadily the religious people, the clergy people became corrupt. They started to exploit people, and the Protestant come, and at that point only Renaissance arrived. Okay, Christianity is not good, and clergy people are exploiting people, and so they want new intellectuality, they want new literature, and actually during the age of Puritan, the age of Puritan was there in all the European nations, and watching drama, reading poetry, performing drawing arts was completely banned. Okay, and so that was the situation, and the people began to think against Christianity, and then Martin Luther King protested against them, and the Protestant came, and that is the other way of history. But Protestantism is also a product of Renaissance. Okay, so why do I say this history, the European history, is that Europeans also revived back their own intellectuality, their own literature, and their own art form. Okay, they craved for a new scientific intellectuality, scientific invention, scientific discoveries. They want to explore the whole world. They want to go for a voyage. Okay, and then they discovered America, and whole history, human history changed. Okay, such kind of renaissance should happen in India. Okay, that is what Aurobindo says, and okay, renaissance in India, we have to go, revive India. We should not imitate. Actually, this point is there. You must mention this point. We should not imitate Europeans. We have to revive India. Renaissance should happen in India, but it should not be a kind of imitation. Okay, so this is the first point that you have to write. Europeans also revived their own Greek literature and Latin literature, mythology, and they went for scientific discoveries. They produced new intellectuality, new knowledge. Okay. Likewise, Indians should revive back their culture, their literature, their intellectuality. By that, based on that, India should produce a new intellectuality, new knowledge. Okay, so this is the this is the main idea. This is the main line of this essay. Okay, so Europe got back their ancient literature, ancient life, and likewise India must go back to its own originality. Okay, and therefore we should not imitate the Europeans. Rather, India should develop its own new knowledge. Okay, so in Ireland, Celtic movement came, and that is the Irish people went back to their own history. Okay, most importantly, India should revive. Indians should know their original history. Okay, India cannot know the history written by the Europeans. India should know its own history, her own history. Okay, so all the Indians should know his history, and a kind of political movement happened in Ireland, and now there is a consciousness of freedom movement. Okay, and so this is important point. India now have the consciousness of freedom movement. This is very important. India must get freedom. Okay, this point definitely you must mention. And Aurobindo supports the freedom movement, and most of the people are aware that India should get freedom. But what Aurobindo says is that freedom alone will not help India. India should revive its own glory. Okay, and so as far as India is concerned, India's spiritual force and self-expression alone can help India. That is India's spiritual force and India's spiritual force and self-expression is the need for India. Okay, and above all, freedom is necessary, and along with the freedom, India should revive back its spirituality and self-expression. Okay, so and as Aurobindo says, many Indians are confused about this. Okay, and so it's not like superstitious belief. Remember, Aurobindo clearly says that don't follow any superstitious belief. Rather, we all should revive back our own spirituality. Okay, and we have to develop new self-consciousness. Okay, Indians should develop new self-consciousness. Okay, say I am Prasad, and rather than if I wear violet shirt and checked shirt, and I have a mustache, I have nose, I have an eye, definitely I know who am I. Okay, so my skin complexion is fair, and I have if I know about my hair, we must know these things. I should know about myself. But what kind of character I have, that I should know. Okay, what do I like? What do I dislike? That I should know. Okay, and what are the things comfortable for me, and what are the things are uncomfortable for me. Okay, and these are the things comfortable for me, but these comforts are actually good for me. These are the things uncomfortable for me, but this uncomfortness may be good for me. Okay, everything I should know. This is the most important thing. Actually, I myself give this example, but let's say India should know what is good for India. Okay, this is the point, and we have to mention it. India should know what is good for India. We as Indians should know these are the good things that we must follow. These are the bad things that we must not follow. That consciousness we must have. Okay, so India is completely unique in its own culture and language, and what is it? All the Indians should know about this. Okay, I know about myself, and actually we all must know about ourselves. At the same time, all the Indians should have the feeling of India, Indianness, and what we mean to the world. Okay, that consciousness we all should have, and India should have. Okay, and so India should develop a new self-consciousness. Another important point, we should see giant Shakti. Okay, Indians should see giant G-I-N-T, Shakti, S-H-A-T-H-I. Okay, and we simply ignored our own great Shakti, giant Shakti, and we should see our Shakti. Okay, it is our responsibility. For that, India need political freedom, which is most essential thing, and Indians are doing that. But that alone will not help Indians. Okay, and so though not important point, but these points you must mention. See, because of the Western contact, it lacked great. The Indianness happened. The concept of India developed with the Indians. Okay, because of the Western contact, the concept of India and Indianness developed with the Indians. Okay, and even this is my own example. Of course, this history also. Actually, Ilango Avadigal only mentioned Tamil Nadu. He was the first to call Tamil Nadu as Tamil Nadu. Okay, and actually Tamilians had I am Sasar Nadu, I am Pandya Nadu, I am Sola Nadu. Likewise, Tamilians called themselves. And none of the Tamilians called themselves as I am from Tamil Nadu. They don't call likewise. Okay, and actually after independence only the Tamilians developed the concept of I am from Tamil Nadu. Okay, and actually in the ancient time Tamilians called themselves as Sera Nadu, Pandya Nadu and Sola Nadu. Okay, so that's how Tamilians called themselves. Likewise, Indians also never called themselves as Indians. Okay, I am Rajput, I am Bengali, and such kind of consciousness only they had. But after, when they had contact with Western people, the Europeans, all the Indians developed, at least with the help of freedom movement, they developed the consciousness of India. Okay, and so the concept of Indianness is done, and still India is maintaining spirituality, but India should be more consciousness of its own spirituality. India is still prevailing its own spirituality. Aurobindo says that in 1920s also India is maintaining, and India is struggling to have its own spirituality, but it should develop. She should develop. Actually, India, she is the feminine pronoun is used by Aurobindo in this essay. Okay, so sorry about that. Often I say use the word it, but Aurobindo use rather than it, the pronoun it. Aurobindo used the feminine pronoun she. Okay, so you also mention whenever you refer India, you use we shall use she. Okay, so she should develop her own spirituality. She should be more consciousness of spirituality. She is actually consciousness of her spirituality, but that is not enough. She should develop more and more consciousness of her own spirituality. Okay, and see, most of the nations lost its own spirituality, but India is still maintaining her spirituality. Okay, and definitely we all should know the old forms, the old expressions. Okay, and then obviously in our old expression there are good today, and there may be evil today. Maybe Aurobindo not now. In the latter part of the essay, he mentions the caste system is evil, which India cannot follow. Okay, caste system was good in the ancient time, but today India cannot follow the caste system. Okay, so I mean you can mention this, but in later you mention it. So India should know the old form, and India should reshape the old form. Okay, India should reshape the old form. Okay, and Europeans definitely Europeans are well aware that India had great spirituality. Okay, so Europeans are actually aware of it, but they say that they are superstitious beliefs. Okay, they are well aware that Indian spirituality is a great contribution to the world. but in order to they made us to think that they are superstitious. Okay, and Indians also accepted it. Okay, so this is a great blunder by India and accepting Europeans branding that Indians are superstitious. Okay, and this is a great blunder by Indians, and India already contributed to the world the concept of spirituality, and definitely Indians must follow her spirituality. Okay, and how Europeans convinced that Indians are superstitious? It is India's ideas are unpracticable. Okay, India's ideas, Indian spirituality are unpracticable. Indian dreams, Indian ideas are unpracticable. Okay, and see whatever the scientific discoveries and invention. See, say for example, in the beginning of 20th century, it is Europeans said that it is impossible. I mean, people said that it is impossible for humans to fly in the air. It is impossible to invent a vehicle which could fly in the air. But today it is possible. And today all of us are saying that it is time travel is impossible. It can happen only in movies, and none of us human will never be able to invent a machine which could travel faster than light. Even if we are able to invent, human cannot travel. When my body is traveling more than the light speed, I will burn. Okay, my atom will disintegrate. Okay, so that is what they discovered. But in future, they may invent a time machine or a machine which could travel faster than light. Okay, so likewise, Europeans brand Indians saying that Indian spirituality is unpracticable. Okay, but it seems like that, but actually that will happen. Okay, and Aurobindo also saying to the Europeans, there were many ideas in Europe, but now they made it into practicality. Okay, and now you are saying that Indian spirituality is unpracticable, but definitely they are practicable. If you want to do it, definitely we can do it. Okay, so you invented aeroplane, but in those days it is not. It was impossible. Likewise, you yourself discouraged yourself. Okay, so therefore you cannot say, Europeans cannot say that Indian spirituality is unpracticable. It is practicable. Okay, so in practice we can do it. That we will do it and we will make it. So you cannot discourage us. You don't have the moral right to say that Indian spirituality is unpracticable. Okay, so that's what Aurobindo says. And India, see, I quote from the essay which you have to write now. I don't change. I simply quote. I simply quote what Aurobindo says in our lesson, which you definitely you must write. Spirituality is indeed the master key of the Indian mind. Spirituality is indeed the master key of the Indian mind. The sense of the infinite is native to it. Okay, the sense of infinite is native to it. Okay, so India should uphold its spirituality, and life is infinite. So this idea is first of all set by Indians to the world. Okay, life is infinite. We do not know the whole universe. Okay, and there are various layers of realities. Okay, there are various layers of realities, and Indians were the first to talk about fourth and fifth dimension. Okay, though the name is not given, the name is not named as a fourth dimension or fifth dimension, but rather they use the word various layers of reality. Okay, and Indians are aware of those realities, but they do not know what it is. Now they say there is fourth dimension universe, there is fifth dimension universe. Okay, scientifically they proved it, but they had the idea and they strongly believed that there is another layer of reality. Okay, see again if you watch the movie Interstellar, the fourth dimension world. Okay, see, you see through the camera, you see my face, my height of the face, my breadth of the face, and let's say the three dimension height, height, length, breadth. Okay, length, height, breadth. So you are able to see these three dimensions. But there is one more dimension at the back which we are unable to see. I myself am unable to see my own back. So that's how our eye structure is done. That's how our brain is structured. Our brain is structured to perceive only three-dimensional reality of the universe. Okay, so our brain and eye is structured that we can feel and we can see and we can feel only three dimensions of the universe. There may be fourth dimension, there may be fifth dimension of the universe which we are unable to see and feel. Okay, now NASA scientists discovered yes, there are possibilities of fourth dimension with which we do not know. This that is another layer of reality which Indians already discovered 3,000, 5,000 years ago, and they name it as another layer of reality, and life is infinite. Okay, so life is infinite. Indians discovered various layers of reality. Okay, and again let me quote from Aurobindo. She saw, that is India, she saw myriad gods beyond man, God beyond the gods, and beyond God his own ineffable eternity. Okay, she saw the myriad, M-Y-R-I-A-D, myriad gods beyond man, comma, God beyond the gods, comma, and beyond God his own ineffable eternity, ineffable, unspokeable. Okay, see, this is what Indian philosophy, and there are various layers of realities, various gods, innumerable gods. If we say that he is the supreme God, definitely there must be another God superior to this God. We are saying that Lord Vishnu has the ultimate power. He has the ultimate power of destroying the whole universe. And some argue that Vishnu is the ultimate God. Okay. Likewise, we are saying, but beyond Lord Shiva, beyond Lord Vishnu, there may be, and there must be another powerful God which we are unable to feel. We are unable to feel only Lord Shiva and Vishnu. We are able to think only about Lord Shiva and Vishnu. But there is another God powerful than Vishnu and Shiva, which we are unable to feel it. Okay, so this is Indian philosophy and India, she saw myriad gods beyond man. Man has only limited capacity to think about God. Okay, but Indians thought about the ideas about God beyond gods, beyond God, His own ineffable eternity. Okay, unspeakable eternity. We cannot understand, we cannot express those reality, those eternity, those power of God in the universe. Okay. Therefore, can we leave it? No. Man can achieve anything with the training and willpower and knowledge. Man can achieve anything with the training, willpower and knowledge. Okay, so we have to, with the willpower, with the training, with proper training and proper knowledge, we can know other layer of realities. Okay, so that's what Aurobindo is saying, which is what India should, India should do. With proper training and willpower and knowledge, India can go for construct new knowledge, new intellectuality, new self-consciousness, new spirituality. Okay, and Indians should yearn for infinite and possess those infinite universe. Okay, which can be done through yoga practice. Okay, through yoga practice, we can understand the infinite power of God. Okay, so yoga practice is one way of understanding the infinite power of God. Okay, which Aurobindo says in his ashram. Okay, so that is one way, and Indians should discover various ways to understand the infinite power of God. And actually this knowledge is not, what Aurobindo says so far, this knowledge is not new knowledge. This knowledge was already set 3,000 years ago. Aurobindo says this, says in this essay. What so far God is infinite, there are various layers of reality. These knowledge are not new. These knowledge were already said before 3,000 years ago. Okay, so what is the problem? Let's say with the advent of he did not mention that with the advent of Islam, Muslim invention, those words he did not mention. But he says before 500 or 600 years ago, in all of a sudden, Indians were not conscious of the spiritual glory of the knowledge, and he there were various reasons for it. Why all of a sudden Indians lost their own spirituality and their own knowledge? Okay, see. Okay, he will mention in the last part of the essay what are all the reasons for Indian loss of glory, and now actually he further continues the glory of India. Okay, and 3,000 years ago, India had this kinds of great knowledge. Life is infinite. There are various layers of realities, and many philosophies were there, many arts were there, many sciences were there, many yogas were there, many poems, literature were there. The list is endless. Okay, so India has lots of kingdoms, lots of philosophies, and everything was there. And India creates lots of things. India was creating, India is creating, and India will create these knowledge, these scientific discoveries, everything. Okay, and she will not confine herself. She is infinite. Okay, she will not confine herself with the knowledge, with her knowledge and spirituality. She is infinite. She will do create this knowledge. Okay. So India, the most powerful spiritual. India is the most powerful spiritual nation in the world. Okay, India is the most powerful spiritual nation in the world. Okay, even today, India is very powerful for its spirituality. Okay, therefore Indians should know their spirituality. And okay, though India is spiritually powerful nation, was India an economically rich nation? And Aurobindo says, yes, India was actually economically rich nation, but today because of the British rule, India is an economically poor nation. But in ancient time, India was economically the richest nation in the world. Okay, and today, today in the sense in Aurobindo 1920s, but the modern Europeans were curious about the collaboration of arts and science, spirituality and practical life. Okay, Europeans want to do it. They want to mix spiritual life and practical life. But Indian already did during the reign of Ashoka himself. And when Ashoka was ruling India, many Indians led the life of spirituality as well as practical life. That is earning money. At the same time, I can lead a spiritual life. Okay, these things many Indians lived during that time. But Europeans are curious to know about it as if it is their own idea. But Indians already lived with the concept of mixing spirituality and practical life. Okay, and only with the advent of printing press only they had all kinds of art forms. But India already had all the kinds of 64 art forms. Each and every art form have their own rules and regulations. Everything was perfect. Okay, and in India there was spirituality, and Indians were rational, ethical, and aesthetics. They have the aesthetic sense. They have the spirituality, and Indians were ethical. Okay. See, what Aurobindo argues is that when there is spirituality, there must be intellectuality. When there is spirituality, there must be intellectuality. When there is intellectuality, there must be economic prosperity. Okay. So, when there is spirituality, there must be intellectuality. When there is intellectuality, there must be economic prosperity. Okay. So therefore, India was economically prosperous nation. And see, and the concept of Buddhism and Jainism, they are new religion, they say. And Europeans say that Buddhism and Jainism were new religion, and Aurobindo also acknowledges this. They were new religion and intellectuality. But actually, Buddhism and Jainism were spiritual, intellectuality, and ethical concept. Okay, new intellectuality, new ethical concept was the Buddhism and Jainism. After 200 years, another new intellectuality should have came. Okay, so Buddhism and Jainism was new Indian spiritual intellectuality and ethicalism. And after 500 years, another thing should come. New intellectuality should come. Okay, but because of the British rule, it stopped. Okay. So therefore, Buddhism and Jainism is not new religion; it is a new intellectuality. Okay, they are also part of India. and India saw beyond nature and possible vision, and at the same time it also focused on material world. Okay, that is a practical ideas. Okay, so India saw beyond nature and beyond thinking, human thinking, and Indians were the first to say that there are various layers of reality which we are, with our sixth sense, we are unable to feel it. Indian mind is, so let me do it as fast as I can do it. Indian mind is, human spirit, self-giving is important. India opposes fixed habits of life. Okay, so Indian mind is actually the real human spirit, the real feel of human spirit all over the world. That is said to be real India. And India is actually self-giving. India is actually helping tendency. India is helping tendency. India is self-giving. Okay, and India opposed fixed habits of life. India opposed fixed habits of life. We cannot lead the repetitive habits of life. It will, at one point it will be boring, and then we may corrupt ourselves. Okay, when so therefore our life habits should be changing. Okay, at the same time we must focus on good deeds. Okay, these concepts were already said by Indians. In Hinduism, in today's age, a caste system should be forgotten. Okay, so caste system must be forgotten by the Indians, and for political reasons, caste system developed. But today, Indians should not follow this caste system. Okay, and then the concept of democracy is not from Europe. Actually, the concept of democracy was there in India. Though there were monarchy, there was a supreme king. In villages, people themselves selected their own village head, and in village, their democracy prevailed. Okay, common people gather together, and they select a head, and they lived happily. Okay, that is the reality. Of course, there were monarchy. At the top level, there was a king, but at the bottom level, democracy prevailed. Real democracy prevailed in India. Okay, so how now Europeans are leading a prosperous life. Above the present Europeans' prosperous life, India had greater than a prosperous life which Europeans are living now. Okay, so despite the caste system, society did not disintegrate. Despite the caste system, India maintained its own spirituality. Okay, so this is another point to be proud of India. Okay, so despite the caste system, and caste system is the only evil in Indian culture in India, and the hierarchy was there in Europe and all over the world. The difference between rich and poor was there in all over the world, and rich exploiting poor was there all over the world. But caste system is definitely worse than Europe and other nations, which Aurobindo acknowledges, and that is the greatest evil in India, which India should avoid it. And despite the caste system, India maintained its spirituality. Okay, and Europeans simply ignored these facts, and they do not want to know the glory of India. Okay, so actually they ignored these realities, and they deliberately want to ignore these realities. Okay, so therefore India is spiritually a dominant nation, and we must revive back our glory, especially the spirituality. Okay, we should again regain the spirituality, and now we should make into practice. We should regain our spirituality and we should make it into practice. Okay, so for a few centuries, Indians do not know about their own glory, their own intellectuality. It will happen in all the nations. Okay, at one point we forget, Europeans themselves forget their own intellectuality. Europe also this happened, India also this happened, but unfortunately, the most unfortunate part is that when we forgot our own intellectuality, exactly at that point, Europeans invaded India, they colonized India, and completely we forgot our own glory. Okay, so what were all the reasons? Okay, I already said only in the last part of the first part of the essay only he says this. What are the reasons for declining of our own glory? Okay, let's say Indians were bored of their own intellectuality, yet they maintained. They focused on maintaining the spirituality, but they simply ignored how can we lead a joyful life. At the same time, we can make a spiritual life. Indians somehow they forgot. Somehow they forgot the leading a joyful life. At the same time, maintaining a spirituality. Okay, so India simply maintained the spirituality, but forgot the joyful life. Okay. So, Aurobindo himself do not know the real reason for this. And the second point, Indians forgot to discover new knowledge. Indians forgot to construct new knowledge, scientific inventions and discoveries. And even if they do it, they were repetitive. Indians should have worked hard and focused more to construct new knowledge, to have new discoveries. Okay, so but at the same time, spirituality maintained, but the real concept of spirituality somehow lost. Okay, when at this point only British invaded India, and we completely forgot we Indians forgot the real meaning of our culture. Okay, so beginning there was so much of glory, but today India lost its glory, and Indians were ashamed of Indians themselves. Okay, so this should be stopped. Okay, and okay, I simply skipped certain points. Let me tell the last point. India has a spirit of higher infinite, and India has India should go back. Okay, India should discover its real spirit. India should discover its real spirit. India should India should discover its her real spirit. That means to discover the hidden intensities of spirituality, the domain of life. Okay, and India should increase her own power. Okay, so that's how he ends the last section of the first part of the essay, the Renaissance in India. Okay, so that's the end of the first part of the essay, the Renaissance in India. Quite a long lecture. As the essay is long essay, we have to do it. Okay, so I mentioned clearly. I mentioned clearly all the points. Try to write all the points as possible. Okay, thank you.